Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get a very nice hour of some beat making on these 505 loopers. I'm gonna be talking about what I'm doing, building up some beats. It's all vocals. Everything you're hearing right now is all vocals already. I have a synth down here, but it's not even hooked up to the loopers. It's not even powered on right now. So I'm going to be talking about the technical details. This is really good if you're thinking about getting a 505. You're just thinking, like, how do these things work? So I'm going to talk about how it works. Also cool if you already use a 505, one of these loopers here, and you just want to see, you know, some other little angles on how someone else does it. Man, it's going to be such a good hour. My regulars know what it is. If you are new to the Reconsider It live streams, welcome! You made the right decision joining us. We want you here. Right now we are in a warm-up phase. We are just getting the blood flowing, doing some stretching and strengthening. And while we are here in this warm-up phase, for my musician friends who like to jam along, we are in the key of D in this beat. Beats per minute is 145.4. And here in this warm-up phase, to this bass skeleton of a beat that I slapped together before the stream began. Before I describe how I built this up, and before I go add some more stuff and talk about how I'm adding them when I'm doing it, I need to celebrate. More specifically, I need to celebrate you. Thank you for being here. Whether you were joining us here in the live, in the chat, or you are joining us in the live, but you are not in the chat, or you are joining us after the stream, watching on replay. However you are joining us, thank you for being here. I'm going to celebrate you at this time in this way. I am going to grab my drink, which I have. Here's what's going to happen, my friends. I am going to count to 3. I am going to clink the screen. At that time, you are invited to join the rest of us as we clink along and we celebrate our togetherfulness. Here it comes, my friends. The count up is beginning on 1, and then we continue pretty fast because already we got 2, and that's nice because then it's 3. Clink. Cheers, my friends. Oh, man. That is good. That's like the goodest. If you were to rank all the goods, it's just like, man, that's good. I love connecting with you in this way. Please like this video. Whew, man. So we got this 505 beatmaking stream. What's happening? What are we going to do here? So these streams here, on the screen now, you can see that I've got my varieties of streams. Today we are in the upper right, this middle quadrant of 4 types of streams. We're in the upper right. We got 505 beatmaking right now. So this is going to be all about just building a beat. I've already got the basis of a beat, so we had 5 minutes, I guess 10 minutes on the stream of just chilling out, getting ready to get started. So I'm going to start describing the technical details on the 505s of how I built this beat, just out of my vocals. And then I'm going to keep building the beat up and just keep talking about the 505 details. So here we go. I personally, when I'm building a beat, I always start with the kick drum. So that's where I'm starting right now, kick drum. How did I build this one? This one was built out of EQ. So I guess to back up a little bit, what I'm talking about is the following. When I do stuff into the microphone, it is not what you hear here in the looper playing. My acapella is horrible. I'm not like an acapella beatboxer with these awesome sound effects and things. That's not what's happening. It's the loopers that make it sound the way it sounds. So I'm about to start describing to you what are the sound effects I used. This here, I stacked 2 sound effects. That's generally how I use this bottom looper. This is a Mark 1. This is the first not installation, but the first like generation, I guess, of these loopers, these 505 loopers from Boss. And what I stacked here was an EQ. You can stack the input layers over here. I stack an EQ that has the low end turned up a little bit and the high end turned down a little bit. That's how I built this. Just an EQ, and then I pass that EQ into a vocal distortion. And that's where you get the graininess from. So this one is like just a distorted kick drum. And then from there, I either go to this like shaker hi-hat layer or my snare clap layer. I think today I did indeed do this shaker hi-hat layer next. And this one is built from the same thing, the same EQ. That's a little high end with a little less low end. But this one has a reverb. Hold on, wait, is that right? Oh, actually, no, I didn't on this one. No, this one was just, I kept the same vocal distortion. I didn't change that. Sometimes I do put a reverb on this. After that, now I got this kick drum and this hi-hat thing. Then there's this, like, clap snare thing. Once again, same instruments. Same input effects. Right now, I think that kick was that snare was a little loud, so I'm turning it down. Just turning volume down. You can do that on the 505. You can take like each individual layer, and control its volume independently. Control a couple other things like panning and such. So there's a lot of versatility the more you dive into the different settings. So that's the percussion. And that's typical of what I do in any given beat. The way I just described my drums and such. I don't always pass my EQ into a vocal distortion, but this one I did. After that, we got the bass. And my regulars who've been tuning into the past few 505 beatmaking streams, you know. And my regulars who've been tuning into the past few 505 beatmaking streams. Oh, great. And my regular. And my regular tuning into the past few 505 beatmaking streams, you know. Great. So I guess also relevant, my regulars know this next part too, that I've been talking about how this lower looper, this is the Mark I. This one is older for me. I got it in, I believe, 2017. And I used it heavily, taking it back and forth to venues, at live shows, playing with it. And it's getting worn. It's starting to have some unexpected and uncontrollable behaviors. And I don't know if that just happened right now, but it looked like I accidentally started recording when I didn't mean to. So I got to quickly record a new snare/clap. I don't remember what I have, so we're going to get whatever comes out now. Nice. Anyway, I don't remember hitting the record button here, but it's totally plausible that I was pressing something else and I accidentally pressed it. I don't know, whatever happened. In any case, moving on to the bass. How did I make the bass? Well, my regulars know. This is when I accidentally hit record before. My regulars know that my bass is usually made out of a very similar thing every time. Starts with the guitar to bass. This is up here now, by the way. The lower looper is the one that is the older model. It has the more basic functionality. The top looper has additional functionality. I do all my melodic and harmonic, is that a word? Harmonic stuff on the top looper. Oh, see, once again, this just turned on. The record just turned on. Was I pressing it? I'm gonna have to go back and look and see. Again, this just turned on. See how it's recording? The record just turned on. Was I pressing it? On the top looper. I'm gonna have to go back and look and see. Oh, see, once again, this just turned on. See how... I'm not sure because, see, one of the things that's happening on this bottom looper is that these big green buttons get stuck. So I wonder if it's getting stuck and something's getting triggered. That's plausible. Anyway, let's continue on and see if it happens. The bass. How did I make the bass on the top looper? I'm gonna be delicate to not touch the bottom looper at all. Let's see if it turns on. Although I did just pull up the button. So my theory would suggest that it wouldn't happen now. But let's see. How did I build the bass? The bass starts with a guitar to bass. So on the top looper, there's 4 buttons over here. Got these 4 input, that's what these are input effects. Whereas on the first looper, you can only stack 3. So 3's still pretty good. but the top layer has another one. It's got 4. So I stacked 4 different input layers. First one is a guitar to bass. Guitar to bass is what it sounds like. If you were playing a guitar, you plug it into this, it's going to make it sound like a bass. So it just really drops your octaves and whatever else it does to make it sound like a bass. And that's the majority of how the sound gets to where it is, as you're listening to it right now, this bass sound. That guitar to bass is then passed into the electric. The electric is the auto tuner. That's one of the things that the top one has as a new feature that was not present in the first one here, the Mark 1. Guitar to bass passed into electric. This one is just passed into a sustainer, which is essentially a volume level, although technically it's a little more. And then all of that is passed into a phaser. Phaser is just like, you know, what it sounds like. Makes it like a wah, wah, wah. Now, I didn't really have it very much activated when I was doing this bass, but that is technically there. So that's how I build the bass on this one. Got some nice 505 details. This is great. After all that, then, though, you got this one. This is the one where I generally have it panning the bass. So I have a duplicate layer of the same instrument. Generally harmonic, I make these 2. And they're, you know, spatially, physically on my looper. The bass is generally panned to the center, and I put it in the center channel. And then my, this other layer that I have flanking the bass, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Not exactly symmetrical. I mess with the panning a little bit. It's usually lopsided in a couple different ways. I do that intentionally and randomly. I have those positioned to the left and right, so that's a nice visual cue for me. It makes it a little more intuitive to play in terms of panning and such. Anyway, how did I build this one? This one... What is this? Let me double check. Was it this one? Yeah. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. So how did I build this one? This again is just me going like, I can't sing. It's the looper making it sound nice. So this is built out of a distortion. What kind of distortion did I do? A vocal distortion. The distortion is what just makes it sound all like, you know, more electric. You know, like you're distorting electric guitar. That's all that is. I guess that's what it actually precisely is. But inside distortion, it's got like, I don't know how many, 5 or 6 different varieties, some of which sound really different. So this vocal distortion is one of the more mild ones. I always think of it as like putting a metallic glaze. So that's what the first instrument is that this sound is built out of. That's the first, I should say, the first sound effect that I have built this instrument out of. And from the distortion, I pass it into an electric. Electric, again, is the tuner. That's what makes it tune to the key of D, which this one is. Distortion, electric, and then that's passed into a tremolo or tremolo. I never know how to pronounce that. And then finally, it's passed into a reverse reverb. Or I'm sorry, a reverse delay, not a reverse reverb. Reverse delay. And on both the loopers here, I am using some reverb in the output. Just like I have input effects on the left side of the loopers, I got output effects on the right side of the loopers. And in my case, what you'll usually see me doing, if you pay attention to the buttons I'm pressing when you see me playing, usually all the way to the right here, the third button on the outputs, for me, I configure that to be some kind of reverb or a delay, something along those lines. So usually that's what I'm playing with over here if you ever see that. The same thing on the top looper, the third one in. You actually can put more on the top looper. It's just like a very, very, very upgraded version. But the third one in on the top, I also make that reverb. And you can see here on the top that these two loops, I guess, that I have on, they have this orange button that indicates that the output effect of the reverb, it applies to them. I took the reverb off. You can hear there's not any more reverb. I put the reverb back on. Hooray. But you see my bass, it doesn't have that orange in this button. So if I put reverb on or not, it doesn't apply to the bass. Or it doesn't, more generally, it doesn't apply to that specific layer where this is not orange. So that's another way that you have a lot of control. Again, if you're in the category of people who's thinking about like, hey, this 505 thing, this looper looks really cool. Should I maybe get one of them? Sure. You know, I mean, like if you have the ability to get one, and you're just questioning whether like, oh, can you, I don't know, use it effectively? The answer is there's a lot of buttons, but it's very much learnable. It is intuitive. There's a lot of buttons because it's powerful. There's a lot you can do with it. But it is intuitive. You can get started on day one and start making some beats and things. That's very realistic. And, you know, when I first got mine, I used to play like, you know, morning and night every single day for, I don't know, probably at least a couple weeks. I didn't break that pattern when I first got my looper. I used to play in the morning before I went to work. Then I'd make a beat, or I'd do more than just a beat. I'd make more when I came home. I started making beats the first day I got it. So if you invest a lot of time in the looper, you'll definitely be able to handle it. I see right now that symptoms. Whoa, that's not the reverb. That was supposed to be reverb. Here we go. Symptoms of reality is in the house with us. It's very nice. Didn't get the reverb at first. Also, I see that Trust is here, which is also just the very goodest. And also is here with us, which is really nice. So at this point, you've got a nice like build up of how I made each of these sounds. And this is still just the foundation of the beat. I haven't added anything yet. You also got a nice bunch of tangents regarding my thoughts on the loopers. You got some behind the scenes insights regarding how some of my buttons and sliders are breaking on the bottom looper down here. And every time I talk about it, I convince myself more and more that I'm going to get another Mark II looper and then just use two Mark IIs. Like see right here, it's hard to use the volume level. Yeah, it's becoming more and more likely. Who knows? Maybe in a couple of streams, I'll have a Mark II, and I'll be like, so. That'd be pretty nice. But what else am I gonna add to this beat here? Let's find out. Because in addition to the two instruments you're already hearing in this beat, namely the bass line, that's one of the instruments that I made already in this looper configuration. And you've also got this other one, whatever, I don't know what you'd call this. Some kind of like singy belly thing. So that's two instruments. And the top looper allows you to save 4 instruments in each palette that you save. So I've got 2 more. I got 2 more instruments. Let's go see what they are. And okay, here's the first one. I'm going to describe it first before I do it, and then I'm going to go do a little bit of playing around with it and record a loop with it. So this first one here, actually, let's see, which one do I want to do? Let's do this one, I guess. This one here that I'm about to do that you haven't heard yet. This one is built out of the following 4 layers of input effects. A synth. As I talk about that one, I usually use that in the same way that you can imagine you might use a horn of some kind, a trumpet, some kind of brass. That's what this synth instrument, in my usage, that's what I use it for. So this is built out of a synth and then passed into electric, which is the tuner. Then this one that you haven't heard yet that I'm going to do right now, this is then passed into a slicer, which is going to mesh nicely with the tremolo on these other ones. And then after that, all of it's passed into a tape echo, which is just a kind of delay. So let's see, I'm going to start playing around with this new instrument here. I'll get a voice or I'll get a loop recorded. Let's see. Okay. So here's that new loop. This is the one that's built out of, this again for if you're looking for the 505 details, how would you use these loopers to do the things I'm doing? Because again, this is me going into the mic. This is just me being like, I'm not singing. It's the looper making it sound nice. Or I guess it's the looper making it sound like that. And you can argue with me regarding whether you think it's nice. Built out of a synth, which I use like a horn of some sort. Synth passed into electric, which is the tuner. Then passed into the slicer. You can hear the slicer. And then that's passed into a tape echo. You can hear that there at the end when it goes quiet for a second. So that's nice. And usually for me, just like I was talking earlier about how for my intuitiveness, for my intuition, the way I physically arrange my loops on this top looper is that the center represents the center pan, which for me it's the bass. Bass is always in the center for me. If I have 1 or 2 exceptions, I would not be surprised. Then the ones that are slightly left and right get panned slightly left and right. They get positioned slightly left and right. But then this new one that I just recorded, this is the furthest to the left because it's physically furthest to the left. I usually reserve those spaces for something that doesn't stack well, that doesn't harmonize well with itself. There are some instruments like that. where I don't want to have this stuff here, where I make 2 loops out of the same instrument harmonize with itself. There are some instruments that don't work well with that. And so if that's the case, that's when I might position it in this farthest most left or farthest most right layer. Or if it's something that just is supposed to be like background noise, sort of, not really like a lead melody. Or something that's the lead melody. You know, each of these things take on different layers. Or different, they play different roles in how I make beats. So this is good. There's 2 things that just happened that you might have noticed. One of them is relevant to loopers, one of them is not. Both were just pure genius. I'm so glad they were captured on this recording. One was that I started to apply this slicer effect. You can hear that sharp slicing going on. The top looper lets you put up to 4 output effects on at a time. So I like to play with those. In my top looper, when you see me doing my streams and my content, I do generally put this 4th output effect as some kind of slicer or tremolo. There's also an effect called the roll that I love. The roll is awesome. I don't think I have that applied here in this one right now. What is the final instrument that's on this beat? Or in this palette, rather? So this is the final instrument that I had of my 4. Got the bass line and those 2 other things. And here's what this one's built out of. How did I build this one? This one is also built out of a distortion, like one of the prior one was, but a different kind of distortion. This is distortion and the fuzz type of distortion. Then that distortion is passed into a radio, which is what gives it this sort of like lo-fi feel. There's actually a setting in there, a lo-fi type of radio. That's what I have it set to. Then that's passed into a tremolo. You can hear that very clearly, the waviness to it. And then all of that is passed into the electric, which is the tuner, making everything tuned into the key of D here on this palette. Probably not obvious, but this layer that I just recorded is twice as long as, I guess, the longest of everything else. Not all of my loops are the same length. That's also probably not obvious. Friendly reminder that you get the most out of my acoustics when you listen on a pair of noise-canceling headphones. So not all these loops are the same length, and in general, none of my loops are ever the same length. Or I guess, no, that's not what I mean to say. In general, at any given time, for any given beat I have, its loops are of different lengths, though some of the loops are of the same length as each other. That's the most complete way to say it, I think. Nick says, don't let him fool you. In reference to me. Don't let me fool you. Because I really sing like Prince and Be Real. My response is, shh. I'm going like this. Shh. To Nick. That's supposed to be a secret. Don't say that. That's disadvantageous to say that. It's supposed to be this like hidden strategy that you keep secret, and you do your strategy and you hope no one notices. It's supposed to be that kind of like furtive stuff. This like conniving sociopathic stuff. So I mentioned earlier that there was another thing that I did on the stream that was pretty helpful. Pretty genius was the word I used. I always have a not really a problem, but like a sort of an inconvenience with the cord that comes out of my headphones when I'm playing. Kind of like gets stuck on things, or it gets caught on this, or whatever's happening. So I'm always just kind of messing with it. But a couple minutes ago, it was probably like 10 minutes ago by now, I put my headphone cable behind me. And then I realized that, like, oh, now, you know what? Am I going to, like, hit it with my other foot now? Is that what's going to happen? So then I put it into my belt thing here. I'm not... Right, here's... I don't know what this is called. The thing you put your belt through. I put my cable into that. Now it's in pretty good shape. Now it's off the ground. I have enough room to move. It's not in my face in front of me. Pretty good. Almost as excited. I get so excited about this like little invention of mine I just did, but not quite as excited as I get for the fact that me has joined us. So I was talking about the length of loops, and I mentioned how my loops are of varying lengths. So here's what I mean by that. In most of my beats, you'll see that I use at least the layers that you currently see on my looper are lit up. The ones that are currently like glowing green, and you see there's these two down here that are not glowing. So the ones that you're looking at now, this is basically my minimum. And to summarize once again the way I do my layout, this is for you if you're interested in the 505 details, you're thinking about getting one, or you're looking for ideas on how to use yours more effectively, or not even more effectively, but just like from a different creative angle than perhaps what maybe you've been using yours for 10 years also. And you have like this awesome style that I know nothing about. And now, by listening to me describe my style, now you're going to have both of our styles. Hey, wait a minute. You should give me your style too. But, but in the meanwhile, at least you get to have some more insights. So anyway, the way I do my beats, once again, I'm going to like build it up kind of quick. And this is in summary of what we've talked about so far in this stream. I generally, when I'm doing it, I start with my kick drum. Nice, I got a kick drum. Now I can control this one. I can control the volume on this one separately from everything else. Dope. Then I have my hi-hat. Or shaker. I usually make it more of a shaker than a hi-hat. Then I add my snare clap thing. And I usually have them in these positions. Then after that, I start adding in my bass, which is generally in this position as we saw earlier. That's the center pan. Then to the slight left and right of that panning, I pull in some other kind of instrument that usually stacks nicely with itself. It's nice to hear two of it playing, harmonizing with itself. I bring that in. This is what I do on almost all of my beats, unless there's some kind of, aberration of some sort. But I should have been talking about the lengths. That's what I got sidetracked. The kick drum here, when I start with that, that's what sets the length. And everything else is relative to that. So usually, this gets tracked as 2 bars or 2 measures, my kick drum layer. Sometimes it only gets tracked as 1 bar, and I don't know exactly how exactly it is that the looper determines that. But I intend it to be 2 bars most of the time. The shaker hi-hat thing is the same length. So if you were to take out the wave files, the shaker length and the kick drum length are the same length. Then the clap snare thing, this one's twice as long. This is 4 bars. After that, we have this thing. This is generally 4 bars also. So the same length as the snare or clap thing. Loop, I should say, the snare clap loop. but twice as long as the kick drum and the hi-hat. I like to keep the kick drum and the hi-hat to be like a strong foundation or basis that you, the listener, don't need to be tracking this 16 bar kick. We can just keep adding stuff on top of it, and these other layers bring all the interesting stuff and whatnot. But I do like to play with a slightly longer kick sometimes. So sometimes you'll see me do that. The bass that I just brought in, this one is twice as long as all of that. This one is 8 bars long. I see Me made a comment that says, hey, Trust My Monkeys is a nice screen name. Yeah, if you don't know Trusto, you should go check out Symptoms of Reality. Symptoms of Reality is a YouTube page, a YouTube channel, and they do a daily podcast, and it's primarily a music kind of thing. It's a hardware-based music thing, so they got like synthesizers and all this. It's 2 twins. One of them has a bass guitar. So they're always doing this cool, like, funky, droney, ambient stuff. But it's more than that. It's a lot more than that, though. They have like so much, community. They bring a lot of humor and personality. It's very, very entertaining. They usually give you at least like an hour and a half, but up to maybe 4 or 5 hours on a podcast. And that's every day. They want an episode a day. They also got their producer, who isn't playing music, but she's just like part of the conversation. She sings sometimes. They have guests on. It's very supportive of YouTube artists. So that's why I recommend it. It's a very strong, healthy, thriving source of content and community. So you might even, hang out and get to know people. Who might you get to know, you might wonder? Well, one example, of course, is the Crazy Woman, who has now just joined us. This other layer that I just brought in, by the way, this one also is 8 measures, 8 bars. So I'm going to break it all down once again. Oh man, they all got, where'd they go? Okay, these are 2 bars long. And you can see on the camera, can you see? Yeah, you can see this on the camera. You see how this is like spinning around? That represents 1 bar. So as you listen to what's playing right now and you catch how long the loop is, you can notice that this 1 bar is spinning around 2 times. They are 2 bars in length. And then this is what's 4 bars in length. The clap snare thing, you can see it takes this one 4 times around to complete. Plus these like harmonic, reverby, not droney. These are more ambient type of things. These are 4 bars long. Now the top looper, the spinning red Johns here, is timed to the length. So you can see it takes 4 bars for it to complete a spin. I find that much more helpful myself. Much more helpful than the bottom looper, which just shows you 1 rotation regardless of how long it is. If that's a setting and I'm not aware of it, I would be happy to be informed otherwise. These are the ones that are 4 in length. Here's the ones that are 8 in length. I just brought in the bass layer and also whatever you call this other one. This was the synth, right? The one they use like brass. So all the lengths of the loops bring a lot of variety. And within the past month or 2, I started adding another one that's 16 bars. And that's usually this final bar way over here, or this final loop rather, way on the right side. That one I use either as a solo, or I use it as a like ambient kind of thing, like I did in this case. That's another technique. You might notice what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of like slowly moving the faders up and down, not always making them suddenly all the way up and all the way down. I used to, when I first started looping, I got it as a replacement, a replacement for having a producer when I perform live. So I used to play live with a producer in my group Conscious Object, which you can see in the background behind me. You can't really, it's probably too small to see though. But one of the posters behind me over there says the one on the left, it's a heart and a brain. It says Conscious Object. The CD that's on top of the soundproofing on the bottom there, that CD is a Conscious Object CD. But after me and my producer stopped doing that group, I wanted to keep playing shows, and I didn't want to just bring like, here's my MP3, which is what most rappers do. Most like, underground, local, regional rappers on that scale. Most rappers just like, here's my MP3, and they give it to whoever's the DJ for the night. I'm not crazy about that. I want to put on more of a show. So I got my bottom looper after I was inspired by Carnage, the Executioner, because he does his looper stuff. And I used to play shows with him, and I was like, oh man, look, he's really doing it. And so I said, all right, let me try this. So that's how I first started with the looping. It was like, I would go remix myself when I played live, and then rap over my beats, so that I was putting on a show for people, and also it was fun to put on, beatboxing, looping. Nobody does that really. There's a couple people, but they're, it's not like a common thing. It's not non-existent. I'm not the singular person on earth, but not everybody has even one of them in their town. That is to say, beatbox loop people. I was building up to something with all this, and I forget what I was building up to. I think it was some kind of thing of some sort. I was probably going to say it. I think I was most likely going to say the thing of some sort. I was building up to like why I do something the way I do with the loopers, because I was going to transition into like, okay, so yeah, I first started just like remixing myself when I played live so that I, had more than just an MP3. But when I started doing live looping by itself, separately from rapping over myself, just doing the live looping, I was going to start that, and I was going to say something after that, and I don't remember what I was going to say after that. There was too many layers of things for me to juggle, and I dropped the thing that came after that. There's a guy I follow on Instagram. I think he's called The Broken Juggler. I could have his name wrong. I'm not sure. But his stuff is pretty wild. He juggles, flaming batons with an axe, and while he does that, he'll like start juggling with one hand, and then he'll grab a throw pillow. He has this gimmick where in every one of his videos, he has a throw pillow that has a image of Nicolas Cage on it, some kind of Nicolas Cage meme of some sort. He takes the throw pillow, and without looking, without turning, he throws it behind himself, and it lands in a basketball net, basketball hoop. He was doing all this in his driveway, I should have said. Sometimes he does this while he's on a unicycle. So he's like unicycle, juggling an axe with flaming batons, and then starts juggling in one hand, and then grabs the Nicolas Cage pillow and throws it behind him without looking, and gets it in the basketball hoop. Now, of course, I realize he's only posting the ones where he does get it in the basketball hoop. I understand that. But nonetheless, it's pretty impressive seeing his videos. I believe he was on America's Got Talent. He's got like it's a pretty big page. Friends, this has been a very good 505 beat making stream. You got a lot here in terms of how I built all these sounds out of the 505 sound effects. I gave you a whole bunch of other stuff too related to the 505s, talking about how I use them, talk about my background a little bit. You got a lot of spice and substance in addition to just technical details here on this very exciting 505 beat making stream. I invite you to tell me whether you're here joining us live in the chat or you're watching afterward. I encourage you to tell me in a comment what other 505 details are you interested in. This type of live stream where I talk about the 505 details, I'm doing this upon request, or I have done this upon request. It has been requested of me multiple times by multiple people. And I know that that's a thing, that it's a lot. There's a lot of people who do that. There's a lot of pages who have like going through how to use synthesizers and such. There's not a lot of pages going through how to use 505s though. Not on an ongoing basis. Doing a live stream, give you an hour of just playing around. So, since I'm doing this in response to your request, please let me know what other things you would like to know about the 505s. How do I do this? Is it possible to do that? I don't know everything, but I will share what I'll know. I hope to see you in the next live stream. We have multiple kinds of live streams here on the Reconsider It live streams. In the middle of the screen here, in the middle of the menu, you see these 4 options. We were in the top right today. We did 505 beat making. That's good. We got all these other live streams as well. Any other time we go live, it could be any one of these. You might get the more organized, not as much talking, doing a bunch of songs back to back, loops and chill. You might get playing around with the loops, playing around with the synthesizer, talking with you about a whole bunch of stuff in the lower right, tinkering in the studio. You might get playing around with the loopers and the synthesizer, but no talking at all in the lower left with unspoken. Whatever kind of live stream it is, my friends, I am looking forward to seeing you at that time. And until then, please have a very good rest of your day today. Please let the rest of your day today bring you to new levels of what is possible. Please be the first person to reach these new levels, things that no one thought was possible, things that no one thought were possible. Please experience the seed of what will continue to grow into a lot of healing, a lot of profound healing, healing that you are deeply, deeply ready to receive. And please be ready to receive this deep healing that you are deeply ready for. Please allow yourself to receive all of these benefits, everything that is directed directly to benefit you. Please take your first steps toward that today, and I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.